What's going on, guys? Bart here with Tully Television. I want to thank all of you for stopping by, liking, commenting, sharing, all that beautiful YouTube stuff. I hope that today is the day we earn that subscription. I'm just trying to adjust the lighting here. Um, Today, I kind of want to talk about um, the recent episode of Daredevil and its part in a grander thing with Marvel products the last few years. This episode, I'm going to talk about a spoiler in case you have yet to see the episode. Um, but in a recent episode of Daredevil Born Again, the character Muse winds up biting the big one. He winds up dying in this particular episode by the hands of Matt's current beau and love, um, because she was Muse's psychiatrist, and he attempted to make her his last victim, so to speak, his last piece of art, and explained how that her writings helped made him who he was today. Basically, going from who he was and how he was raised to becoming the Muse who he thinks is his real identity. And it's a classic trope that's been explored. I think Batman is one of those classic examples where Bruce Wayne is the mask and Batman is the true identity. Even though people see Bruce Wayne as the real identity and Batman is his alter ego. And in case in a lot of superheroes, that's the truth. It's their alter ego who is the real identity, and their civilian life is the mask to hide from for who they are from the world, right? Now, what bothers me with this particular instance of Muse is a couple little things. And by no means am I expert Daredevil history buff, or I know every little thing about his lore. I'm sure there's plenty of things that I do not know about the Daredevil lore. I'm a big fan of Daredevil and a lot of his stories, but again, I digress. In the comic books, Muse is an Inhuman. Okay. Now that doesn't necessarily play out in this particular television show, which is fine. You know, you don't necessarily need to make everything beat for the comic books like that. So I think that is something that some fans can be willing to let go of, right? Um, and humans didn't really seem to strike a chord with the fans when it came to the movies or shows or anything like that. No one was clamoring for the Inhumans. I like the Inhumans. Fight me. I love Black Bolt. But I digress again. But what really seems to be a major difference for this character between the comic books and this show is the level of violence and the level of depravity that he exhibits or shows, the things that he's willing to do to his victims, to Daredevil, and anyone who's unfortunate to cross his path. In this particular series, we see him here and there over the last few weeks, but there's nothing that is building on the menace that this person is. The fear that this type of serial killer would impose on its community would be immense, immense fear being held by everyone until this person was caught. And if you don't think so, look up the Night Stalker, Ramirez, look up the Zodiac Killer, look up when Ted Bundy was active. When these people were active before they were caught, there was fear in those communities because of who is it, what are they capable of, outside of what they were already showing, what they were capable of. And in this particular series, it doesn't seem really that Muse had the menace that he accumulated in the books. We see him and his art pieces throughout the city during the last few episodes, but I don't know. Then finally, when he is exposing himself to be Muse and trying to take out Matt's girlfriend, he is shot and killed, not by Daredevil, um, but by the love interest in that. And she's gonna wind up carrying immense guilt for this, I'm sure. She caught the fact that Daredevil, while he was there, called her by her name. So obviously, that's going to become a conclusion for her that Daredevil and Matt are the same person. Once she kind of starts putting two and two together, but it really seems like this Muse storyline had a bigger birth with the original creative team that was heading the show, and then realized in mid production by Kevin Feige and those at Marvel that it was not a vision that they were holding for the show, and then brought in the original team from the first Daredevil show that was on Netflix before it was even considered canon into the MCU. So there are certain parts in this season, and I think the original season was supposed to last 18 episodes or around that. Now this it was shortened, and in, the production team that was on the first season, the first couple of seasons of Daredevil on Netflix, came and helped clean some of this up, and they're going to be taking control of the vision for season two. That is already in production. I think that what's going on with this particular season of Daredevil is that you can start seeing what was the original plan and what was the secondary plan for when the original team came back on. And it's making the season feel choppy and rushed. Another complaint that many are having, and I'm siding on this, is that there's not enough supporting cast spotlight on Cherry, on anybody. Hector, we could have seen Hector be the White Tiger. Rest in peace for that actor. He did pass away in real life due to cancer, and I know how much cancer sucks for a lot of people out there. But I digress. Yeah, there just doesn't seem to be a lot of spotlight outside of Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock. And that's okay that they're the primary characters of this show, but it's not showing any of their supporting cast around them and spotlighting them to show the effects that their life is having for those around them. And so with that and the rushed feel of the Muse story, for when a lot of people were looking forward to seeing Muse on the screen, and the level of violence that he can bring, the level of mayhem that he could have brought to Matt's life, seems like so much wasted potential now that it doesn't even make sense to have even brought him in the first place. Um, I think that, again, the major conflict for this season is that it was much like Charles Dickens' book, A Tale of Two Cities. This was a tale of two production companies making one season of a show, and it not being clear what the vision was overall, with certain scenes and certain build-ups to certain stories in this particular season. and it's a little disappointing to fans because Daredevil is such a beloved character, and the first couple seasons, even if you didn't want to say like the Defenders or you didn't like the other shows, Daredevil was a very legit show. The way they would shoot fight scenes, Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock is spectacular. Um, and we got to learn about Foggy. We got to learn about Karen and their interactions with each other because there was room for those characters to breathe. That's why they were such beloved. Even the characters and the actors who played them were beloved by the fans of that show because, you know, would hold Matt accountable. Karen was one that wanted Matt to be the best version of himself that he can be, and falling in love with him and everything. Um, I don't know. I just there's doesn't seem to be a lot of deep connections like that between Matt and the people around him, and even with Wilson and the Kingpin and his connections around him, you cared about that. You cared about Vanessa. You cared about Wilson. And not saying that their story isn't good, but it just seems to be something holding this season back from the potential that it could have had. And I'm really hoping that now that the dust is settled and there's one primary group of people taking control of the vision for season two, I'm hoping that the show can improve a little bit. There's some highlights for sure in this season. Uh, some of the parts that Berthel wrote for the Punisher is, like I said, scenes he wrote because he wasn't going to originally come back because that's how horrible the writing was for the Punisher and for the season in general, that he wasn't going to come back at all. But until he was given some sort of form of creating what he thinks the Punisher would say or do, that's when that's when he was willing to come back. Um, yeah, there just seems to be, I don't know, this season just isn't hitting right with certain people, with certain fans. The actors are doing the best they can do with the material they're given. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, if the material is not good, it doesn't matter how good of an actor you are. It's still not going to come out with that punch that you're looking for to hit the audience. Um, but these are my thoughts about the recent episode of Daredevil and this season of Daredevil. I want you guys to let me know down below what you think the march to 500 subscribers continues. And don't forget, only together can we go straight to the moon, baby. But until next time, peace, Nickums.